Welcome to the Fixed Ops Mastermind, episode 16. So rather than adjusting to the time, why not be adjusting all the time? Let's talk about the new normal and the next normal on this episode of the Fixed Ops Mastermind. So today we're going to talk about the next normal. Everybody wants to talk about the new normal, and I would say that we need to be more concerned with the next normal. You've probably been thinking over the last few months, everything that's been happening and how this new normal is going to affect you and your business. Maybe you're thinking, how am I going to operate like this? Face the facts, the industry's changing. Over the last few months, there's been a lot of chatter about the new normal. What is the new normal? What does it look like? What will it look like? Are there going to be less customers in the store? Will there be less people behind the counter to take care of the customers? Is the service drive going to be filled up with cars that we picked up instead of customers driving them in? And I'd suggest that all of those, some of those, or maybe none of those may be true. The old becomes new, the new becomes outdated, and occasionally the old becomes new again. That cycle repeats itself constantly. We as an industry cannot become complacent with normal. That's the start of we've always done it that way, which is the enemy of change in the service drive, change in your business, and success. So if you've ever watched the 70s cartoon, The Jetsons, you notice that there was a robot for their maid, and their cars could fly. So in 2020, maybe a kiosk will be your service advisor, and maybe your car can navigate by itself, or at least partially by itself. Is that normal? How long is that going to be normal for? We just don't know. So rather than adjusting to the time, why not be adjusting all the time? Let me say that again. Rather than adjusting to the time, why not be adjusting all the time? I'm sure you noticed on days when you didn't have as much to do, you tend to not accomplish as much as you would have thought you would have with it not being busy. And that's true of our business too. In times when it's going well and we're busy, we tend to overlook the things that can increase our efficiency and productivity. When there's a slowing of the business is when most people will hone in on the things that will help them perform well. You should be looking at those things all the time. Small incremental changes can help your business immensely over the long run. If you think of it in terms of just changing the direction of something 2 degrees, but extend that 2 degrees out over 14 miles, and you'll notice that put that path way off course. And the same thing can happen with your business. You should be looking at things every single day, and that should be your new normal. What you're going to find now is that now that owners and dealership groups have seen that they can cut back on staff and increase profits, even though the operators, us, during that time noticed that when the service advisors had less customers, that their numbers went up because they had the proper time to spend with the customers. We realized that. What the ownership and dealership groups saw was an increase in net profit because of the drastic cuts in expenses that they had. And so now, some of your next normal is going to be dealing with ownership and groups that want to keep those expenses low by keeping the number of service advisors you have low, maybe not putting a porter back in the drive. There'll be all different ways that they want to keep those expenses low to keep profits high. And that is going to be part of your next normal. So this time is not about a new normal. It's about a next normal. And there'll be another issue or problem coming. Just remember the cycle. Start evaluating your business every single day as if the next problem has already occurred. Try to stay ahead of that. One of the biggest questions I keep getting from people over the last few months is how. How am I going to operate with less staff? How am I going to start a pickup and delivery service with less people? How do I adjust the greeting of my customers with the COVID situation going on? And those are all part of your next normal. So remember, it's not about a new normal. It's about the next normal. Things will continue to change. They always have. They always will. You need to stay ahead of it, stay on it, and by keeping track of your business every single day, making small incremental changes, you can be prepared for the next normal. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Fixed Ops Mastermind. We invite you to leave us a 5-star review and comment on Apple Podcasts. It helps this podcast get out to other people, help other people, and keep us on the charts. Also, we invite you to join the Fixed Ops Mastermind Leaders Group. We meet every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. FixedOpsMastermind.com is where you can go to join that. And we have coming up on September 2nd a new Fixed Ops Mastermind free webinar series coming up, starting with BDCs. And that is starting September 2nd. That is a free, no charge webinar series starting with BDC. It's going to basically be a 5-week masterclass on BDCs with some incredible people coming to impart their knowledge over to you for free. So make sure you get on the list for that also. FixedOpsMastermind.com is where you can join the Tuesday night membership. And LinkedIn is where to find me, David Foy on LinkedIn.